Hi, welcome to the last session before the break, and we're going to the home stretch. So, Shri Harsha, welcome.
Okay. Thank you. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me today to learn about how to get to autonomous operations using Cisco's new offering under the CNC tier, which is called CNC Premier. I know I'm the guy between you and the break, so I'll try to wrap it up as soon as possible. And I promise you some cool stuff today. With that being said, let's get started. My name is Sri Harsha Danekula, and I'm a technical marketing engineer. Primarily, my focus is on the CNC Premier stuff and also this Crosswork Foresight that was launched yesterday. The session outcomes of today are we are trying to explore what is CNC Premier, what is provided in this offering, and we'll also take a look at a practical use case of how an operator can benefit from CNC Premier. We will dive deep into a closed loop scenario in a real time world of how an operator can utilize our offering to make his life better, easy, and less error prone. This would be the right step in the right direction of building autonomous networks for the different companies. So with that, I would like to introduce CNC Premier. As the slide is like I put a lot of stuff on the slide. It's a busy slide. I understand that. CNC Premier helps you, get to your autonomous networks in an easier way. It's the foundation to closed loop and autonomous networks. It is open, it is programmable and customizable as well as extensible. We go by the formula, build it once, repeat it multiple times. So you can extend it at multiple times and it's very much repeatable and scalable. In CNC Premier, so if you're a CNC user, you would have already known there are different tiers of CNC. One is Essentials, the next one is Advantage, and then now we are introducing Premier, where the Premier comes with the new product of workflow automation. In the CNC Premier, you would have the workflow engine and also the workflow solutions are packaged as a part of it, and you would get the whole suite of applications of CNC. With this particular offering, you can build your own, workflows. They have some pre-packaged workflows which you can directly start using it out of box, or you can make when you're constructing your new workflows, you can call them as child workflows. So think of these as a Lego blocks which can be used to build your own buildings. Okay, and again, those Lego blocks can be used for you to test it or for you to do some actions. You can use them too. It's not like they need to be in some other workflow. What are we targeting with these things is we are targeting few particular categories. We want to target ticketing systems where there is some visibility and insights in your network. You want to create a ticket for it so that the operators can directly look at it or assign it to a specific person so that they can directly look at it and they can start working on it. This is one category of closed loop operations that we see in the field. The other category is whenever there is some issue in your network, you want to push some configuration and remediate it. So we also, using workflows, you can build your own configuration pushes into the network or into your network elements so that you remediate the issues that are happening in the network. You can schedule your fleet upgrades, you can schedule certain things in your network, you can schedule certain collections so that you're keeping your network elements working optimally. You can do all these things using workflows. So these are the target use cases that have been envisioned to build this particular product of workflow. What is in roadmap and how are we doing with the new AI stuff? So the AI is going to, so as I said, I'm also the TME for Crosswork Foresight, which is our offering for in the field of AI. You know, we are enabling we are going to enable using Foresight with a lot of insights. Okay, I'm being lucky today. So yeah, in Crosswork Foresights will provide you a lot of the Crosswork Foresight will provide you a lot of insights based on your network elements, based on the collections it's doing, and based on the algorithms and the frequent patterns that it's going to spot out. When it spots something in your network, you can consider them as the hotspots. And then to fix these hotspots, you need to take an action. So these actions can be taken via our CNC through the CNC Premier tire using workflow engine. And as you know, Foresight is a multi-agent framework. It's help you do the AI ops and decision making. And typically today we are targeting few use cases, and I can give you a few examples like anomalies, anomaly detection, config drift, toxic factor identification, and operational recommendations going forward as well. So I'll explain one example here. Like we can take the example of config drift, where we are. So typically, Foresight would make some API calls into CNC, and then get the list of devices that you're interested in, checking if the configurations are as per your operational needs. So it would fetch the devices, and then Foresight would go back to its database and say, okay, get me more insights into the configuration of these devices. When this happens, the Foresight would go and fetch from its knowledge database. It would fetch the respective logical group of the devices, and then from NSO, using NSO, it's going to fetch the configurations of the device. And then based on the pre-trained models and the configuration that it received from NSO, it's going to correlate it, and it's going to spot the errors in your configuration, and it's going to give you a report. Once you receive the report, you need to act on it. You need to take some actions to fix it. So the actions to fix it would be done by using our using our workflows. Like if as a simple example, if there's a configuration drift saying that your MTU is configured at like 1600, which is very highly likely that it's a misconfiguration. So that's being spotted, and then you can use a workflow just to push it to reset it to the right configuration, which would be 1500, right? So that would be one example. With that being said, let's dive a little into CNC Premier features. What does it offer? Okay. The benefits of having a workflow integrated with CNC is you have a unified user experience. In CNC Premier, everything is available on one screen of CNC. You have a single pane of glass. It's a common API gateway. Again, as I always say, CNC is built with an API first strategy. So you have an API for every click that you make on the UI. The manageability has been very much simplified. You can use workflows to do both, take an action, to collect some insights, and do visualization as well. We have a common infrastructure platform and a unified install and upgrade and integrated licensing. The architecture is very much streamlined. The device inventory, the collection infrastructure, provisioning, and RBAC is provided as well in the CNC itself. The most biggest advantage or the driving factor is the use case synergy. And that's the power behind, that's the power of CNC Premier. And it also makes it stand out from the other competition. In different use cases that I would like to touch upon here are like fleet upgrade with augmented coordinated maintenance and analytics, which is coming in future, but still, half of them are there today. You can try fleet upgrade today. You can do integration with broader operational processes like, as I told you, you can create tickets whenever you see some anomalies in your network, and those tickets can be automatically assigned to the right operators or the right peoples by setting certain business rules. And this can be all done in an automated way. There is no requirement of a human in the loop. We also, using CNC Premier, we are enabling new use cases which are like orchestrated with workflow and CNC components like different applications of CNC. So using workflow, you can make API calls inside CNC applications and get the information that you need. And this is exactly what we are going to see today as a part of our demonstration. Again, this is the screens. I just provided a few screenshots of what is available in CNC with CNC Premier with an integrated workflow. So as you can see here on your left-hand side, you see the operational dashboard, which is the operations UI, and I'm showing you, as you can see on the left, the left strip of it, you can see all every application that is installed on CNC is showing up there, and these are all the applications that are available today. So, and again, everything works in one single dashboard of CNC with this. You have different use cases which come out of the box I just mentioned. And again, in the workflow, you can also build your own workflows. You can bring your own workflows. It's like a do-it-yourself workflows. You can customize it as per your needs. Again, there is no one tailor-made solution for everybody. So we built few out-of-box workflows which can be used as Lego blocks for your workflows that you would like to construct, and these can be called as child workflows. And again, we have different adapters like provisioning engine adapter, SMTP adapter, CLI adapter, and we also are building something for AWS too. Okay. So what use case are we looking at today? So what is the problem statement? The problem statement is, imagine yourself as an operator, who is looking at peering routers, which is a mix of both connectivities across peering fabrics and direct connections. The traffic needs, like when you're juggling between the traffic needs across devices, can be very much error prone, and it's a constant activity that an operator needs to look at every minute. And it can be very error prone with the human in the loop, and because there's a fair amount of checking that needs to be done to ensure that the traffic is flowing as expected and there is no interruptions that are happening. Today let's explore how we can, how a CNC Premier offering can help an operator walk through these tasks and help him improve his performance, or like how can it be more make him more efficient at his job. Okay. So just want to give you the steps ahead of time. When you run, everything can be like, oh, everything is happening behind the scenes. What's happening? So these are the steps that happens behind the scenes when we are running the workflows. Typically, when you use the CNC Premier, we trigger a workflow which constantly monitors the bandwidth. Again, how are we constantly monitoring the bandwidth? We are making an API call from CNC. Again, like we are typically at this point, you're on the screen of workflow, and internally you're making a call into another CNC app to get this information, which is the COE app. So you are getting the bandwidth utilization per interface. I don't know if I'm putting my leg on some wire or something. So, yeah. So typically, when the workflow triggers this particular, when the workflow is triggered, you are making API calls to get the bandwidth information, bandwidth utilization per interface of the routers that you have specified, and you don't need to do the API calls again. It fetches the information that it needs whenever there is. Whenever the situation is identified, like an interface drops or interface congestion happens, the network performance has been impacted. So it would raise an alarm, or it would trigger in this case, it would not raise an alarm, but it would trigger a child workflow, which would go ahead and set the peering service from the NSO, and it would just go ahead and push it. Whenever there is a violation of bandwidth happens, the action is triggered via a child workflows, like you're setting the internet peering, and another child workflow is triggered automatically at the same time to notify to the operator about this has been happened, and we just want to let you know that we are going to change the configuration on the router. So these two things happen one after the other and in an automated way. And the workflow is still, the lifetime of the workflow is still active, so it keeps continuously monitoring it, and it keeps collecting the bandwidth status. Whenever the interface congestion gets back to normal, whenever the interface congestion gets back to normal, whatever the configuration that was pushed previously would be go ahead and deleted it, and then it would again send a notification on the same WebEx space of the set of operators, let's say, and they will be notified saying that this configuration has been reset. Okay. This is the execution visual. What is going to happen? Like first, the workflow will log into the CNC, and then it would start getting the metrics of bandwidth utilization. Whenever there is an excessive bandwidth utilization that is happening, it is setting the internet peering, and then it's going to notify the like a WebEx, like on a WebEx team, where and then whenever it keeps to continue to monitor, it pauses the workflow for some time, and then it continues to monitor again, and then whenever the bandwidth is back to normal, it would set the internet peering, and then it would notify via WebEx notification again. So this is the flow that is going to happen. Let's go into a live demo. Any questions till now? Okay, I will show some code as well. Okay. So this is the landing page of my CNC, and as you can see, I have 23 devices. There is one data gateway. And if I go to administration and go to my Crosswork Manager, these are all my applications that are deployed on my CNC and I'm running a CNC Premier tier at this point. And all these applications are also shown on your left-hand side. Everything is here. So depending upon your choice, you can get into whatever application that you would love to see. Okay. Today, our interest is of workflow automation. So I would go into workflow. And then we would like to run the workflow. So I'm going under design and I'm saying workflow here. Let's look for the latest one. So yeah, I have few things, few workflows, but this is of our interest, which is monitoring the bandwidth utilization and then sending us a notification on the WebEx Teams. You can go into designer to see, again, this is the same screenshot that I took from here and I put it on my slide. And this is the exact code that, actually, let me maximize it a little bit. That's too much. So if you see here, this is the same sequence of events that I just showed on the, on my slides. And then let's say just code, and then we can look at the code. So first it's getting into a CNC, and then it's setting the peering, and again, like all the logic has been set as I just disclosed here, and we can get started. We can run this workflow, and again, like I can show you a few more workflows which are more simpler. Like for example, in this designer, I'm using a workflow. I'm using a child workflow to notify the WebEx. Okay, so if I go back to my workflow under design. Again, go to workflows. Let's look at, updated. So if I do a WebEx Teams notification, this is the child workflow that I'm referring to, and it's simply sending a, okay. So in this case, in this child workflow, it is just simply sending a notification to the user, okay? So this is the child workflow. I mean, like this is the workflow that I'm calling as a child inside the workflow that we built. Okay, we can quickly run this workflow just to show that on my WebEx. Okay, let me trigger my WebEx Teams so we can see the notification come across. So okay, it's going to show up now. So let's go ahead and run a job. So it's running. It has completed. So as you can see, I got a notification. Like you can see, my workflow notification is here. So I'm saying network monitoring started on a certain device. Okay, now let's go ahead and run our workflow, which is going to constantly monitor our traffic. So I'm going into this workflow and I'm going to run this workflow. Actually, I'll show you one more thing in this code here. So you can see here, first it's logging into CNC, which is another child workflow. And then it's going to go and get the, it's going to make an API call internal, and it's going to get all the metrics of the IGP and the bandwidth utilization from node 3 to node 4, between node 3 and node 4. Okay, node 3 and node 4 on certain interfaces. Actually node 4 to node 3, it's looking at node 4 and then it's looking for node 3. Okay. And I have another child workflow which would actually generate the tickets and tokens. Actually, I have it open here. So so this is another child workflow that is being referenced in this in the major workflow, where in CNC it's actually getting it's logging in, it's generating a ticket, and it's generating a token, and then it's going to utilize it to make the API calls. Okay. So let's yeah. So that's pretty much everything. And again, like if you see the conditions that are set here are, if the bandwidth is more than 3 GB, that's when we are going to set the internet peering. If it's less than 3 GB, the bandwidth utilization, then we are going to reset it. Okay, so here is the logic, or like we have called it as a condition here, and it's going to transition depending upon, and again, the transition is the one that is the child workflow that is being called upon, and it's going to push the configuration that it needs to be pushed. Okay. Okay, let me go ahead and run this workflow. Okay, so the job has started. We can go into jobs to look at what is happening. As you can see, there are a bunch of workflows that have been triggered depending upon the choice. And again, we also got another WebEx notification here saying that it got started at this certain like 2:44 a.m. Sorry, 2:44 p.m. Okay, so it started on device node 3. So we can go into topology to look at what is the bandwidth utilization of the nodes here, and let's go ahead and increase the traffic on it. So we are sending between node 4 and 3, so we can click on node 4, node 3. There's a link here. Okay, click on node 4 and node 3. We are having these things, so we can click here to see that the bandwidth utilization right now is only 0.2%. We can increase this particular bandwidth, running a bunch of, by triggering my traffic generator here. So I'm just running a traffic generator. So I'm sending traffic between node 3 and node 4. Actually, I need to send it the other way around. So let me actually edit this. So I'm sending the traffic between node 4 and node 3. I'm going to send a little amount of traffic, not much, but so we triggered the traffic. So it should just, let's go ahead and check if the traffic is reaching the nodes. Okay, I don't see the traffic yet. Give it some time. It does take some time to reflect, and so it takes around say 60 seconds to go ahead and fetch the information and get in there. But there's a notification already that we got, so it says it's just a static notification that I put in. So yep, I think it's the traffic is not hitting it, but yeah, the traffic is. Yeah, I don't know why the traffic is not being reflected here, even though the traffic got started. Or it's not sending traffic, I guess, my traffic gen. So, okay. I don't see the links there because we were sending it on link. Yeah. Okay. Some problem with the traffic, but generally it does reset it. So that's what I planned for. So, but I think there's some issue with the traffic here today. Okay. Yeah. That's pretty much my presentation for today. Any questions?
Any questions in the room? I'll check Slido.
So, hello.
Yep.
So I just wonder, so when you started that workflow, then so probably your purpose is let that workflow running all the time to monitoring the traffic.
Yes.
Yeah. So is there any workload or some system performance will just will get affected just due to this workflow running in background?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we do set the lifetime of the workflow, and then we are only going to run it on a certain amount of time. It's not going to be always, so it does degrade the performance definitely. But again, we do set that. In this case, I left it infinite, but generally it's only going to run for a certain amount of time.
So which means that
You can add another condition there. So
the
where
page that you check there will just update it periodically.
correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, one more.
Does Splunk play a role in this remediation?
Splunk doesn't play a role in this remediation or in this use case that I have shown, but yes, we can extend these things to Splunk. Like Splunk can be like it can be an outbound thing where our visibility and insights can be driven, or like we can forward the data from CNC to Splunk, and then there can be some intelligent actions that the Splunk can recommend, and then using our workflows via APIs from Splunk, you can push them into, or like you can execute the actions from Splunk. So that is one thing that we have built some use cases around that. In this use case, there is no Splunk.
Okay, that seems like the last question. So now we have a break until 3:30, and then we have the final 3 sessions.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sriharsha.
Thank you.